What was the greatest crime in history? Gardner Art Museum, Boston. 1990, $300 million in art still missing. A clever start. To get the first of two guards away from his post. The thieves showed up dressed as cops with a warrant for his arrest. A tiny bit off topic. But it always scared me that it's illegal if you don't instantly submit to the person in an easily obtained uniform with an easily faked badge that insists she is a cop. I'm surprised this isn't abused more. To be honest. Yeah, and quite a few serial killers have done exactly this. We will never know. Probably DB. Cooper's heist. The man hijacked a 727. Got a ransom of what would be roughly $1.2 million in today's money. Then vanished. It's been almost 50 years and no one's ever figured out who he was or where he went. He almost certainly died in his famous jump or shortly thereafter. He wasn't dressed for a jump like that and certainly wasn't dressed to survive on the ground in the mountains afterwards. He had no survival gear and there's no way he could have stashed any ahead of time and known where he was going to jump in the dark to land anywhere close to it. Also, the vast majority of the money never turned up. It's bizarre that no one has figured out who he was because you'd think someone would have missed this guy, but to me it's virtually certain that he died jumping from the plane or shortly after. Genghis Khan killed around 10% of the world's population then. Imagine if someone killed 700 people today. If it's true, it's Eduardo di Valferno's grift of the Mona Lisa. So Eduardo is an Argentine con artist. He has a great idea to steal the Mona Lisa and obviously sell it. Well, what if he could sell it more than once? Make more money, right? So commissions a great forger to make 6 copies of the Mona. He then meets some Italian carpenter working at the Louvre and convinces him to steal it. Which he does by apparently just walking out with it under his coat. Eduardo then sells the copies to buyers, who, after hearing of the theft, which made international news and is one of the reasons the Mona Lisa is so famous today, all believe they have the real one. He makes off with the money. All the while the carpenter still has the original. Few years later he's caught trying to sell it. The rape of Nanking has to be up there. I mean, great in the sense that it was one of the most horrific large-scale atrocities that have been documented and subsequently denied. Around 200,000 unarmed civilians and disarmed combatants were raped, murdered and or pillaged. It still is denied by many Japanese nationalists. Digging into 2 city blocks to raid the Brazilian central bank, who estimated that the gang consisted of between 6 and 10 men. Described how they had seen van loads of soil being removed daily, but understood this to be a normal activity of the business. That's brilliant. I'm not sure where this quote is from, and is also somewhat paraphrased, but it always stuck out to me. The perfect crime isn't the one that goes unsolved. It's the one that is solved with the wrong perpetrator. There is almost certainly some massive crime that none of us have ever heard of because it was an open and shut case and some enemy of the person who actually got away with it spent the rest of his life in jail. The best spies in the world are the ones who got gold retirement watches from their targets. That story about the old guy who just set up a booth in front of a free zoo and collected money for like plus 25 years. He was beloved and everyone knew him and he made out like a bandit. Stanley Mark Rifkin, the IT administrator, well, equivalent at the time, who robbed Security Pacific National Bank in 1978 using only a payphone from the bank's lobby. He pretended to be from the international transfers team, called the wire transfer room, gave them the code for the day, which he had seen on a piece of paper in the wire room while working there, and asked for $10 million to be transferred to a Swiss bank account. The guy then flew to Switzerland, exchanged the money for diamonds, stored them in his checked luggage, about 8.5 kilograms of them, and flew back to the US. He only got caught when his former lawyer ratted him out. Rifkin had planned on giving the diamonds to the bank in exchange for letting him help fix the security issue he himself exploited. At the time, it was the largest bank heist in US history, and was in the Guinness Book of World Records. Please don't try to break this record. Edit, 2 words. The jewelry shop heist in GTA V. True masterpiece. You forget 1,000 things every day. Make sure this is one of them. The subprime mortgage crisis, or the Madoff Ponzi scheme. And more historically. Just about everything the Nazis did, including looting Europe. Check out The Big Short on Netflix for a brilliant movie about the subprime mortgage crisis. And how a select few saw through the bullet and made a killing off of the housing market crashing. It's a really interesting movie that's not too hard to understand. Henry Avery robbed a Spanish vessel worth $400 million and was never found in the 500 years since it happened. I went on a tour of the Rocks district in Sydney the other day to learn about its history as a British convict colony. As part of their punishment, the convicts were tasked with building the beginnings of modern-day Sydney. This included building the Bank of Australia. Several of the convicts returned at a later date to rob the bank in a covert manner. They knew where the secret tunnels were. They were never fully tried or charged for the robbery despite stealing what would now be worth $120 million odd. A group of old men, ranging from their 40s to their late 70s, once robbed a bank by climbing down the long elevator shaft and drilling a hole in the side of the safety deposit box room. Over the course of 2 days they stole £14 million worth of jewelry, gold, and banknotes. It was apparently one last heist for the 3 or 4 of them, as they were career criminals. Not so long ago, couple of years, a dude robbed 10 mil. No guns. No busting into a bank and yelling or asserting his dominance type of it. Just a well-planned, masterful, at least how he did it, heist. Dude managed to get a job into a bank escort. Worked there for a year. When him and 2 other dudes were escorting 10 mil to get destroyed, old money that needed to be burned, they stopped for something. The 2 dudes left to get some noms. And then he just ride away with a car truck. There's even footage from the installed car camera. How is he robbing the 10 mil? Dude looked like a egg. A big bushy bearded egg with the most darkest sunglasses you could ever see. And when they wanted to trace him? All fake. Fake name. Fake living place. Fake everything. Dude was gone with 10 mil. No traces left. Nothing. But they caught him a few months ago. Turn out he had 2 people helping him and one of the idiots tried to deposit $300k to a bank. They tracked him from that. But they never managed to get the 10 mil back. They only found around $200k. The Lufthansa heist. I don't see how this one gets overlooked. Maybe because it was in the movie and a lot of people don't realize it actually happened. The greatest crimes in the world are not committed by people breaking the rules but by people following the rules. It's people who follow orders that drop bombs and massacre villages. Banksy. Nah. Rapists are worse than WW2 pilots. Thanks.